together. Okay, it sounds like most tables are finishing up. One thing I just want to call everybody's attention to is that the role of the district leadership person who's at your table is to take notes and to add to the discussion if they can. When it comes to reporting out, though, they're not part of that. I want this to be the community voice, and I want you to have the opportunity to talk and share your thoughts. So, why are we here? What's the goal? So, KUSD Conversations is really designed to allow our community members to talk about issues, challenges, and opportunities that are present in the district. We want to hear your voice. It's to strengthen communication. It's to gather community feedback, to build stronger relationships, and you'll have the opportunity to in a moment here, to choose the topic of the conversation. So in a moment, I'm going to go to another slide. If you have a cell phone or anything, an iPad or something that can take a picture, you'll be able to shoot at the QR code and determine the topic of our conversation this evening. After we determine that, I have some guiding questions. We'll do 2 rounds. There's 2 rounds of guiding questions to get your feedback and your thoughts of the topic that's of interest to you. We'll do some sharing out. And this information, the leadership person who's at your table is also going to be taking notes, and we'll post these notes on the web, on our website, for the community to see. We've already done a couple. We did one with our principal administrative group a couple weeks ago. I believe we've posted our business and civic leader notes on the website as well. So all of that is there for you to see what people are thinking and what people's thoughts are. So any questions on our process or any questions on anybody need we also can do this paper if you don't have a cell phone with you but any questions? Ms. Keppinen?
So you predetermined the options for discussion for tonight?
Nope, this is yours. We categorized them. There are topics, but I want to hear your ideas, and if they fit in, I think we've 7 predetermined topics, but there's also an other if it doesn't fit, but there's kind of some commonality. There's nothing I'm trying to keep it as open as possible, but still have a structured conversation. Yes? Yeah. I would go off of either that one or the one that's on the screen. Okay? Here we go. Here are our norms. I kind of skipped ahead. Just to make sure we have a structured conversation, we do have some norms. First one is everybody has a chance to talk. We want to have everybody's input as we go through this. One at a time. We'll focus on is how we'll do it. We're focusing on individuals, not on individuals. We're focusing on issues. One of the things that I've always heard is be very critical of the system, but be very kind to the people. Let's talk about the system and how we can make the system better. Share experiences, but look for solutions. We want to have this be a problem-solving session. And then stay on topic. Now, here's that QR code. So I'll give you a minute, and we'll post all of your answers up in real time. And Tanya and I here will attempt to use some generative AI to come up with what our best option is. It is also the top QR code on the agenda.
All right, for the guests, you can write it down too. It's a capital G. This is on the KUSD guest network. It's a capital G, lowercase u, the number 3, lowercase st, numbers 2, 3, the @ symbol, and then the exclamation mark. That's for the KUSD guest one. Capital G, lowercase u, the number 3, lowercase s, lowercase t, number 2, number 3, @ symbol, and then exclamation mark.
Okay, I understand that this is maybe a little small to see, but right now it looks like we have pretty much a tie. Community engagement and student academics and experiences and opportunities. So, there we go. Tie is over. So the winner that we'll spend some time talking about is student academics, experiences, and opportunities. And now we will go ahead and summarize what the answers were up there. So. So what we're seeing is a disconnect between the topics and then the categories, but we can make this work. Yep.
And this is why we're having a pilot.
Yes, this is. Let's start. Why don't we just go right from the.
Well, we do one, so.
Right.
That's how the discussion.
Right. So the.
So do we want to just take a vote on?
Yeah, let's do hand votes. So we've got 4 topics that popped up. We've got district budget and transparency, community engagement and inclusion, technology and classroom policies, and operational and educational environment. So those are the 4 topics that bubbled to the top. So, yep, we'll keep them up. And could I ask, Michelle, could you just keep track of or kind of tally our vote on this? So the first one is district budget and transparency. If you would like the districts, if you like our conversation tonight to center on that, could you please raise your hand?
Doesn't seem like these go together, like necessarily like transparency should be on its own, maybe with like community engagement, inclusion, something like that, but like the budget and transparency.
Well, I could see transparency in the budget development and expenditures. I think it could work in that sense. Yeah, we'll be able to talk. It'll come through. Yeah, and I think that transparency kind of weaves through them all. So those people who want to have tonight's discussion be around the district budget and transparency, show of hands.
All right, I'm going to do it. Okay. You guys, 3?
So 3 for that. Community engagement and inclusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get 12? 12 for that. Technology and classroom policies. 7, 8. Operational and educational environment. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. So the topic of tonight's conversation then is community engagement and inclusion. Thank you for bearing with us. When we did this one before, it was quick alignment. Yep. So for our questions, yep. Oh, sorry. I do. Okay. So here are our questions regarding community engagement and inclusion. You'll have 20 minutes at your table to discuss this, and the person who will report it out to the group, remember, is not a leadership member, is the person who has spent the most time living in Kenosha or in the Kenosha area. So take a moment. Part of the task is to figure out who spent the most time living in the Kenosha community. And our questions are, what strengths do you see as KUSD associated with community engagement and inclusion that we should build on for the future? And what challenges do you believe KUSD must address as it relates to community engagement and inclusion over the next several years? And please be as specific as possible. So we'll come back together and report out right around 5:40. I'll check on and see how we're doing. Thank you. And to clarify, that's 20 minutes for both questions, so about 10 minutes per question. Just a quick time check. We have about 2 minutes left, and then we'll report out. Okay, if I can pull everybody back. And I do hate stopping these robust conversations. I was able to sit in on several and really appreciate the engagement and how everybody is really adding to the discussion. So thank you. Why don't we start at table one, the person who has spent the most time within the boundaries within Kenosha. Report out one strength and one challenge. We do have mics at the table. If you click the, yeah. Two. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. All right. We'll reset it for 2 more minutes. Sorry about that. Could I get a thumbs up from every table that's ready to go? Okay. Just about. I'll give it another minute. Okay, table one, one strength and one challenge for inclusion and community engagement.
Well, I got a whole paragraph for, okay, all right. Yeah, thanks, Bob. All right, so in terms of strengths for community engagement and inclusion, we said that there was good opportunities for community members to be involved in things like board committees. KUSD does a good job with inclusionary programs targeting various groups. Some of the things that were mentioned were like at Bradford, dance class working with SPED students, AA, YI, and ESL. And then KUSD has good relationships with our colleges, Gateway, Parkside, and Carthage, that have opportunities for students like AP and college credits. Then as far as challenges go, it was noted that events and programs are not always published in a way that reaches all the people that it should. There needs to be more Instagram and more Facebook communication. Board and administration should be more visible within our school communities and at the schools, AKA meeting people where they're at. There's a bit of notification numbness with all the various sources of communication, and maybe getting back to old school methods of face-to-face and paper communications when possible. And we need to find a way to hear representative voices from our whole community and not just those that we hear at the podium at school board meetings.
Thank you very much. Table two.
Am I pressing this? I have never been told I'm good at summarizing, just so you know. We also believe that there were a wide range of methods for people to communicate with the board and with administration. Speaking at board meetings, emails, phone calls, everything is in the works there, and that the staff is responsive to those questions, although we have heard some criticisms there. And there's also the opportunity to participate on the various committees. The challenges are, of course, essentially time. In some cases, we felt like too many ways to communicate. People would communicate in one method, and the person that you were communicating with was looking for communication another way. And so there'd be some unintentional miscommunicate or lack of communication between people. We felt that there was, you mentioned good relationships with the universities and some other organizations in the community. We feel there's some missed opportunities to leverage, leverage some of the expertise that exists in the community with different community members and their experience. We acknowledge the fact that there is, for whatever reason, a trust gap. Well, there is a trust gap within the community. And one of the challenges there, and again, this is kind of a time thing, one of the challenges there is that as long as the district is creating or running the operation by which communication is occurring, there's always some suspicion about whether that's being manipulated or not. And we think that's where the trust gap comes. So the challenge will be to strengthen relationships with community members who serve on the committees through the committee structure and with the community in general when they communicate their concerns to the district.
Good. Thank you. Yep. So I'm going out on a limb. I want to make a joke, so please take it the right way. That is the longest I've heard you speak. I only thought you could speak in 3-minute clips. I've been I was dying to say that, and I would have gotten mad at myself if I didn't. Table 3.
Okay, for one of the main strengths of the district, that it's trying a lot more than in the past to reach out to the community. And it's using various, especially digital platforms, and that have also been mentioned before. As an aside, though, still many community members do not have access to the digital platforms because they don't have devices and reliable ways to access those. But the district is working much harder to communicate, especially through all the digital platforms, grading platforms, parent portal, all that. However, for a challenge, we feel like information doesn't feel concise and clear and it also has like a tone of being reactionary for probably, especially on Facebook. And you'll see like you'll see graphics that have arrows going every which way, and you're trying to look for what are the main points here, and it's exhausting. It's cognitively exhausting. So we don't feel like the information is very clear and concise. We have the example of in a different district, people would have like meetings at like maybe a pub, and you'd have a handout with the main points of that, and then you'd have also like a much more in-depth packet that people could look at if they wanted to. But also, lack of a strategic plan. People have looked on the website and don't really see where the district is going, and we need a collective direction. Where are we going in Kenosha Unified? How does my child and how does my family fit in? And you shouldn't have to put that much energy into digging to find that important information.
Yep. Thank you very much. Table 4.
Pretty much agreement with the other tables. We felt that the strength that the district has is all of the various programs that the district offers, all the different opportunities, particularly our theater programs, mental health services. There are some things that we discussed that even those people here at the table who are in the know didn't really know about. So it's sort of like if we who are very involved don't know, then how is the average person going to find out about it? So that was sort of one of the... So the challenge would be getting the communication to the community, not just the community as far as parents, of course, very, very important, and through Parent Square and things like that, not just digitally, but for those people who are no longer really connected with the school system, whose children are grown, who are not going to be really doing much with the schools anymore, but they're still voting. They're still voting on referendums. They're still, involved. We still need to engage with them. How do we get the information out there? How do we market ourselves and let them know in the most efficient and inclusive way possible? Okay, and we want to make sure that we're inclusive, that we cover those people who can't get to evening meetings, who aren't financially able to go to different things, to take off work, who don't feel because of a language barrier or a different race, who don't feel included, to make sure that everybody is involved.
Thank you very much. Table 5.
Okay, we had a lot of things going on over here. I felt like someone with atrial fib, like everything was going everywhere. Anyhow, that's the nurse. We felt some of these things regarding the arts, that was a strength, and the sports and all of that, but we also, on the flip side of that, we have children who are failing, and how can we put these things prior to academics? So struggled a little bit with that. And then we also talked about our schools that Roosevelt and the way Roosevelt handles parental involvement. We were concerned at this table, one challenge that KUSD that we felt that it's not very inviting for parents to come into the schools. You might have one principal that's fine with it and another that's not. I think the culture needs to be way more inviting. I know that also can be a challenge with certain parents, and I understand that. But we need to at least open that up a little bit more. We also felt that a strength was our choice schools and what they offer with EL and some of the other models that we have. However, we wanted to make sure that it was also inclusive, such as we talked about the percentage of Lincoln environment going into Lakeview. We thought that was a strength. I know that was, I don't know what the percent was, what the board agreed on, that those neighborhood schools were able to go to that. So we felt that was a strength. What? Oh, yes. That actually came up a lot at this table, the soft skill trade. I call it soft skills because that's what DVR does with us. And this didn't pertain just to special needs kids or kids that were in, it pertained to everybody, such as our two children who were at a higher learning level, our first children, and they were, they even had difficulty going out and looking, you know, we want employment skills. We want them to be able to go out and have the ability to talk to an employer. We felt like the kids, that's not a strength of KUSD, where they don't have, well, they don't have that ability to go out into the real world and stay off their phones and for an 8-hour job and, you know, that kind of thing, like teaching them just life skills that are so important. So. And then also our trades, we felt that was a strength, that our trades, it could be better, and we could advocate for that more, and we could also empower that those kids that don't want a 4-year college and that are up, you know, that just want to do HVAC and welding, and that's, you know, we should praise that, and it's not always about a 4-year college. So I think that we need to go down that avenue too. Right? Good.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. And table 6.
Well, thank you. We concur with a lot of the strengths that the other 5 tables indicated. We feel that the current programs that are effectively are in place to inform the community of the comings and goings of the district do an outstanding job. Can they do better? Everybody can do better. But I think that today, as you sit as a member of the Kenosha community, the school district provides ample information for you to make good decisions on the educational direction of your child. What we did find as a challenge is, are we focused more on developing college-bound students, or are we looking at those who are left behind? The child that sits in the classroom and is bored out of their mind with listening to someone talk about Wuthering Heights or trying to do sentencing or anything like that. What do we do for them? Are we working towards as was mentioned at the table, 1 out of 3 people in America have master's degrees. Well, what about the other 2? The other 66% of the people? We have a gentleman here who's in the trades. It's a great program. He indicated that when he talks to his technicians, you go to trade school, you're walking out with a 6-figure income. I have a member of the family who's a drywaller. A woman in the trades. I've had kids who, at 12 years old, were driving around downtown Waukegan because he fixed the car. We need to think about that as a challenge. Now, the other thing was mentioned is, okay, well, wait a minute. They just can't be a grease jockey. if they want to get to the next level. My son-in-law has bad knees from being an auto mechanic for the last 40 years. How do we get them to be the ones running the business? We got to find ways. Okay, trade school is great. Good profession. We need people in the trades. But how do we get that guy from the guy who is the mudslinger and the painter to running the business? What schools are they going to develop? I know that in North Chicago, our kids go to CLC. They have academics in the morning and they go to CLC for trades in the afternoon. They're learning in the morning how to write, how to do mathematics, how to understand American history, civics, doing science experiments. And then they also are learning the trades on the backside in the afternoon. That's something that's the Kenosha district needs to think about. Programs like we're in 2026, right? So by 2030, what's in place for a kid who says, man, Mr. Barry, I don't know. I'm not great at algebraic equations, but I'm going to tell you, I can make something. You want to see it? I'm going to bring it in tomorrow and show you. Hey, Mr. Barry, I heard, man, your brakes sound a little bad. Tell you what, why don't you bring it down to my dad's shop and I'll fix them for you. That's what we got to start thinking about. Let's start thinking about that child who is the 66% behind us that make this country run. Just a thought.
Thank you very much. Great points, and I do feel compelled to share that there are, I believe it's 105 students in Kenosha Unified who are part of our youth apprenticeship program who are doing much of the same work that you're talking about. But how do we get that information out? And how do we build that 105 to 205 or 210? So, excellent points. For the next portion of our discussion, we've got 3 more questions that we'll spend another 20 minutes on. What does the board or administration need to do to demonstrate transparency about community engagement and inclusion? And what specific information or actions would you expect? The second question is, how can staff, parents, and community members work together to positively impact community engagement and inclusion? So again, we'll take another 20 minutes, and this time the person who will report out is the person who has lived as far away from Kenosha, the farthest person who lived the farthest away from Kenosha at the table. So take a few minutes, figure out who lived as far away from Kenosha, and that person will be reporting out. We'll have 20 minutes for these questions. Okay, we have about 2 minutes left. Okay, why don't we take a couple minutes to process? We'll switch to processing time, coming up with strengths and weaknesses, and then we'll start in the back at table 6 when you're ready with the person who is farthest from Kenosha, has lived as far from Kenosha. Okay, we'll start in the back. Who has lived as far away from Kenosha at that table? And you want to share where it was?
Toronto, Canada. So looking at the first one on what does the board and administration need to do to demonstrate transparency about the topic, specific actions is really continue this type of engagement that you've started here. Don't let it be a one-off, but from this, make sure that you promote your outcomes. You know, what's coming out of this, what have been the discussion points, what has come up, and then what are the action items going forward that we look at that. You know, make sure everybody approaches it with an open mind on all sides to make sure you see and understand the gaps between what is happening and the perception of what people think is happening and might be going on. And then make sure that you target the broader community. So looking at parents, non-parents, and we'll talk about that a bit more around, you know, businesses and, you know, local governments. And then around how can everybody, you know, work together. And again, it's that open mind mindset, but looking at a unified voice and alignment on the direction. So looking at what is the city government, county government, school board, local businesses, community members, parents and non-parents. What's everybody want to see for Kenosha 20 years down the road to make sure that we're on that path for, is it knowledge workers, is it the trades, you know, as you look at kind of that post-automotive model for Kenosha. And then, you know, when the school board's going out to make sure that they're, you know, you sell your successes, you highlight the test scores, but also don't forget to note the challenges that you have. Because the challenges are where you're going to actually say your needs. You know, when you talk about the referendum that was looking for funding, it's, you know, if you have all these successes and you just say we need more money, what are the challenges that that's solving, and how does that align with that vision for everybody going forward?
Super, thank you very much. Thank you. Table 5, Sabrina, where was it? Where did you live that was so far away from Kenosha?
British Columbia, Canada. Hey, the insurance up there and the medical coverage was amazing. I'm just saying. Just going to throw that out there. All right, so the first question was, what does the board or administration need to do to demonstrate transparency? Well, the main thing that we discussed was a user-friendly website. Right now, a lot of things are very difficult. It feels hidden to try to find certain things on the website, like teacher salaries. And another thing that was discussed was maybe have a spot on there for frequently asked questions, things that are a lot of times, there's a lot of misinformation in the community. So a lot of the things that people are talking about that might be misinformation, maybe have those readily available and make the, user-friendly, meaning like 5th, 6th grade level, so that everyone can understand no matter what background they come from. And then the next question, the main thing we discussed was having maybe parent ambassadors from each school, or even having some of the things come from principals instead of just administration here at the ESC, things like that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Table number 4.
Hi, no one probably knows who I am, so I'm Amanda. That was a joke, you can laugh.
Where'd you live that was so far away?
For school, I went to Otis School of Art and Design in California. So, but I'm not the one that went the furthest away, actually. It was Rhonda, but she wanted to give it to a community member, so what we saw and what we heard was that a lot of people do not find the website or find information period easily acceptable or accessible, and they also don't find it easy to understand. So a large chart that is, confusing, all of that, it's just not pass and go with parents. They have limited time. By the time they get to the website, they just want the info, right? And then they have to go through all of the things for it. I just feel like a lot of times we let our education blind us and make us see things easier than what the average person may see it as. We also felt like a lot of people in the community see you guys as giving us the information that you have to give us instead of the information that you can give us. So you do the bare minimum, your surface level only, even when it involves your own child. Some things that we thought would assist with this are having a community liaison, and they can basically be available to communicate everything into one little package and then deliver it to the board at the board meetings. And then we, surprise, surprise, would really like a town hall. And we are interested in any way that could be done where we are able to speak about what we want to instead of having to confine it to voting programs or something like that. And just overall, I feel like with the inclusion element, we don't have a very inclusive way for people to get all of this information. Not everyone has the internet. Not everyone has a car. And a lot of people are finding things out last minute and are unable to then be active like they'd like to.
Thank you. Table number 3.
Well, I definitely wasn't in Canada. Hosers. I lived in Germany, Iraq, Afghanistan. I don't know which one's better, but Germany has better healthcare than Canada and a flat tax system. All right. So one thing that what does the board or administration need to do to demonstrate transparency about the topic of better communication and transparency? We have conversations as well as get the community input and have the board and administration take a collective feedback and prioritize the next 3 to 5 years publicly. There's a greater need to listen to the community. Some of the ideas that I brought up is we have 1,000 events throughout the summer in Kenosha. Why don't we have a tent where a couple board members, a couple administrators are sitting at, let people come to us, talk to us, take notes. Obviously, for some board members, we need a schedule if that's mandatory, but we could get people out there. I think that'd be huge because we truly need to find out what the community wants to create the vision around that, and we haven't done that. Like Amanda just said, town halls, thick skin, let people come send it, listen to them, write it down. You know, the best way to learn about yourself or where you're failing is to hear it from somebody else. I know I suck at a lot of things, but until somebody tells me what I'm missing, I don't realize it. She's told me what I'm missing a couple times. So, but yeah, that was our collective vision.
Thank you very much. Table number 2.
Thank you. So I grew up in Southern California, so when I tune into the game tonight, I suspect I'll be rooting for a different team than most of you all. We discussed, and we discussed this in the previous answers, but so I'll try to keep it brief, but leveraging community members to help with some of the outreach. There's a perceived gap in trust, and having outside people come in and help develop engagement opportunities, perhaps like a town hall, could create opportunities for engagement that is viewed by the community as independent and unbiased. We would like to see more work being done. I mean, we talked a lot about some of the colleges in the area, but I don't think it's exclusive to the colleges, but doing more projects and opportunities there. We talked about the website and not having some information. I could see a great project like a quantitative analysis course in either a college or a high school where students are designing materials to help digest some of this for the community. And of course, anything would need to be vetted by the district before it would go out. But I could see an awesome opportunity there, that both education of the students and a new project for the teachers, but also value to the community. We'd like to see more opportunities for students to promote themselves and thus promote the district. We'd like idea of talking about having a single motto for the district. Right now all the high schools and they have their own identity, but KUSD doesn't have as much of their own identity, and be nice to try to do something to kind of create that. And this ties into the previous one, but more opportunities for community volunteering and engagement in the process. I think when people in the community feel like they can actually make a difference, it's really surprising how much work and effort that they're willing to put into something. And with an understanding, and this was discussed as well, that even if you're bringing in volunteers, it's not free, right? It does take people in the district to help coordinate and communicate and work with individuals. And so there is a cost there, but I think there's a lot of people willing to volunteer time if they feel like their work is going to make a difference. And there's also a feeling, as was discussed previously, that we need a strategic plan and it needs to be visible and clear.
Terrific. Thank you very much. And then table 1.
All right, I'm from Seoul, Korea. And then for the first one, more board and admin visibility. So we want them being present and greeting community members at large events. For example, football games, Bandorama, Freshman Fest. So just more being out there. And then more visibility out at other public events where people can approach them. So like the town hall. And then synchronized messaging from the district, like staff and administration should be telling our story to counter misinformation. And then for the second one, we kind of said volunteering opportunities for community members. So for example, we have working sporting events, so at the football games or just any other sporting events. And then considering tightening up the rules on service hours to ensure meaningful connections are happening. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank everyone here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your input. Like I said, we are collecting these. We're posting it. And based on all the information we have, we're going to, you'll see some work coming out of it. Already some things were mentioned about strategic planning. That is definitely on our list. With as we move more towards planning for an April referendum, we'll start getting and hosting town halls. So those things are things that we've been talked about, so it's good to hear them repeated at this group as well. If you could take a few minutes, we would like your feedback on this process. We do have we are doing more of these in the community. We're going out to, we need to get dates, but we'll be at Keela, we'll be at the Senior Center, hosting them at different times. And really the idea is to get it out to as many people as possible and start these conversations. And we want to open it up to as many people as possible. So we'll go through our list of people who haven't come first before if you're really looking for another opportunity, we want to make sure everybody gets a chance first. So we're going to limit it to those who have haven't gone through it yet, if you're interested in doing two. So, but anyway, that's kind of what we're looking at coming up here in the next several months. We're also talking about holding these at individual schools and having principals host those as well. So a way to get out the word and the message. So please take a few minutes, give us some feedback. And once again, thank you so much. I'm not able to do this, so I need the president to do this. Carl, I believe this is adjournment.
We're adjourned.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening.